Hi, my name is Vivi Tamara, and I'm a final year student of International Business Management at Petra Christian University. During my 4 years of learning, I have been through some situations like this.
Hey, come on, let's go.
I cannot. Tomorrow is my presentation.
What? But today is weekend.
No, today is the deadline.
Oh my god.
Doing all those activities is not easy, but yet I survive it. However, a big question popped up in my mind. After all that I've been doing throughout these whole years, is it worth it? So through this video presentation titled Is It Worth It, I'm going to answer the questions. So in order to answer the question, I will use the model from Professor Dr. Casey Chan called What, Why and How model. So this is the framework of what, why, how model. Now let's start with what. So in what I would like to answer the question what has IBM changed inside me. And moving on to the why. So in why I also want to answer why IBM can transform me and myself by explaining what have I learned in IBM and how do I apply what I have learned in IBM through 3 outstanding examples of real application. And then the next question is, how can I apply what I have learned in IBM through my future career? So, in answering the what questions, I would like to do a self-assessment by assessing myself on my individual competence, my capacity inside a team, and also my capability inside an organization. Now let's start assessing my individual competence by seeing the result from my Big 5 personality test, GET test, and also learning style tests. Now let's start with the Big 5 personality test. So this is the result from my Big 5 personality test. And from this test actually, I have high score in extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, and openness to experience, but I have low score on the neuroticism. So what does all of this mean? So by being an extrovert, I have high social skill. And because of my high score in the agreeableness, I can easily adjust myself to different types of person. And by having a high score in the conscientiousness, so I am an honest and hardworking person and also a rule follower. And by having low score in the neuroticism, I'm not really emotional in doing my work. And I also have a high score in the openness to experience, which means I tend to try to experience different things. Now let's move on to the other test, which is GET test. So this is the result from my GET test. Mostly, the result from my GET test is below average. However, I found these 2 dominant characteristics from myself that is not below average, which are need for achievement and also drive and determination. So by having high need for achievement, I am a very optimistic person and also a result-oriented person. And I can also be persistent and dedicated for my work. And I also have a high drive and determination in doing my work. It means that I am very confident towards myself and I can pursue great effort to achieve desired result. And I can also take advantage on opportunity given to me. And now let's move on to the other test, which is the learning style test. So this is the result from my learning test. So by seeing this result, actually I'm a reflector and theorist. So what does it mean by being reflector and theorist? So by being reflector, I'm a detail-oriented person, a good listener, and also a low-profile person. While by being theorist, I'm a logical perfectionist and also I can see the problem from the big picture. And now let's assess myself in the team capacity by using the result from the Bell-Beans team roles model. So this is my result for the Bell-Beans team source model. So these are the scores that I achieve high, which are in the coordinator, complete finisher, and also implementer. So what does all of it mean? So by being a coordinator, so I can delegate the right task to the right person. I can also be one of the group's key decision maker. And by being implementer, I am also reliable, disciplined, and also efficient in doing my work. And I can also be a good executor in my projects. And by being a complete finisher, I usually do checking and finalizing on the complete work and also deliver on-time finished work to the lecturers. So now let's move on to the end part of the self-assessment, which is the organizational capability, which I use the result from the leadership self-assessment tests. So these are the result from my leadership self-assessment tests. And from all of this result, actually I achieved almost high score on almost all tests. However, I have low score in the leading change, which means that I don't really like certain changes in my life. And in conclusion of the self-assessment, actually I have changed from highly capable individual according to Jim Collins after I graduated from the high school to a competent manager. So in conclusion, IBM has changed me to a better leader, from only a high capable individual to a competent manager throughout the presentations and the group projects that we have been through. So throughout the presentations and the group projects, I've been learned to be a part of a team. And I've also learned to lead a team consists of different people with different characteristics and working styles. And in our group, there were some conflicts occurred, but our group have managed to solve it together. Therefore, it makes us to be a better person now. Now let's move on to answering the question of why does IBM have the capability of transforming myself? So in answering the question, I will use the model from Professor Dr. Casey Chan, which is House of IBM, to explain what I have been learning in IBM. What have I learned in IBM? To explain about this, let's start building House of IBM. Starting with the foundation, I learned the technical and also the cognitive skill from modules, theories, and tools such as telemetrics, concept diagram, 6A's, and many more tools I've learned from Professor Dr. Casey Chan. And supported by this foundation, I also learned three important values as the pillars, which are integrity, professionalism, and also the attitudes. So here, integrity talks about how you hold your value in doing your work, how to be responsible to God. And in the professionalism talks about how you be a result-oriented person and do the job as perfect as possible. And in the attitude talks about how you behave as the member of a team. And so supported by these pillars and foundation, I can construct a good strategy for each project. So learning alone is not enough. We have to apply what we have learned in IBM throughout several real projects. And in this presentation, I'm going to give you three examples of the real application of what I've been learned in IBM. So the first example is my experience in being a committee of the International Student Excursion in the IBM program. And the second example is when I did a stock recommendations presentation for investors as my internship projects. And also in the third example is my experience in constructing the seminar in international business as fun as possible as presenters. So how can I apply what I have learned in IBM? So I will give three examples of the real applications that I have been through by drawing concept diagram from each activities. So starting from the first example, when I was becoming an international student excursion committee. So the purpose here is to create an event when everyone can learn effectively through international experience. And the framework here, the first thing we need to create planning and then continue by doing a company visit in Hong Kong. But we also need to have fun as long as we are in Hong Kong. And in the projects, my projects here is to contact companies and also universities for visit requests. And the process is first I need to find potential companies, and then I need to contact them through emails and also phone. And if rejected, I have to find another potential companies to be contacted. And the people here is IBM batch 2012. And the tools here is telephone, fax, email, and also Gantt chart as our schedule. And our strategy here is to find more company lists, because if it is rejected, we don't need to find any more potential companies. So the second strategy is to look for connections. For example, like IBM graduates who work in Hong Kong at the time give us a recommendation of what companies that we can visit. And the third strategy is to get help from tour and travel company to contact their connections. And now let's move on to the second example, which is when I have to present a stock recommendation to investor as my internship projects. So the purpose here is to attract investors to invest into stocks that I recommend. And the framework here is I do a presentation, and then they will ask questions, and I need to be professional in the Q&A and also the presentations. And my project here is to pick and analyze two stocks and then come up with professional presentation to attract investor to invest into two stock recommendations. So the process here is first I need to find potential stocks to recommend, and then I need to prepare a presentation, and then I should also professionally answer the questions. And the people here is the potential investor, and the tools here is I need to see and also observe annual reports and also technical analysis through chart nexus. And I come up with strategy. The first strategy is to learn technical skill from the senior colleagues in my internship place. And I also need to learn and read lots of news. And then I also need to do observation on the stock price regularly. And now let's move on to the third example, when I have to construct a content in a seminar in international business. So the purpose is to create an event where people in general can learn effectively in fun and simple way. And the framework here is in the event there should be a theory and then followed by the rotation in class, and also it should be completed by case study. It should be fun but yet nurturing. And my project here is to construct theory, case study, and also the whole content of the seminar. And the process here, the first thing that I need to do is come up with ideas, concept, and the content. And then I should do consultation and also the coaching with lecturers. And then if rejected, I also need to come with another idea. And the people here is the IBMers and also the general people. And the tools here is report, coaching, and also group meetings. And the strategy is, the first strategy that I do is do a lot of browsing to find ideas and also to find creativity that I can use for my concept. And the second strategy is I should gather for effective group meetings. And the third strategy is ask suggestions and inputs from some people.
So, how will I apply what I've been learning in IBM to my future career? So, to answer that question, I will use the GOT model from Professor Dr. Casey Chan. So, my goal is to build one of the most successful businesses in Indonesia. And my objective is to build a music institute which operates in both music learning and also entertainment as well. And in my target, I have set my own target from 1, 3, 5, and
So this is the GOT model. So my goal is to build one of the most successful businesses in Indonesia, and my objective is to own a music institute which operates in both music learning and entertainment. And my target, I have set target for 1, 3, 5, and 10 years ahead. So this is my target timeline. In year 1, I'm expecting that I will be graduate from IBM, and I will be a private teachers for music While I will also work in a reputable company as managers, so I want to deepen my communication skills that will help me in building my own business later on. But in year 3, I will quit my job and I will pursue my master degree in the music conservatory by majoring in violin. And in the year 5, after I graduate from my master's degree in the music university, I will establish my own music school. And in the year 10, I expect that my music business has been expanded to the recording business. So I will also want to tap the entertainment industry inside the music itself.
So the ultimate conclusion of this presentation is learning in IBM is very worth it since it has changed me to a better individual, better team member, and also better leader inside an organization. I've also learned some technical skills and also tools and also some values that will help me to construct the strategies needed in every project. This will help me to achieve the continuous improvement in my future career, which is as an entrepreneur in music and entertainment industry. So at the end of this video presentation, I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Dr. Casey Chen that helped me to find my buried potential. So throughout his learning, I've learned lots of new things that makes me become a better person. So good luck, Professor Dr. Casey Chen, and